Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who don't recognize my voice, this is Mike Croft. I'm unfortunately not able to be with you today. I'm going to be out of the office for a couple weeks, so that's why we've pre-recorded this with Jacqueline's help. Thank you, Jacqueline. This presentation is going to be a presentation on Arc Flash and why our customers need Arc Flashes and why they would be considered valuable in a couple of different ways, actually. So since I'll be gone for a couple weeks, if you have questions, send me an email or a voicemail, and I will get back to you when I get back. So thanks a lot. Let's get started. So what is an arc flash study? Guys, I'm not going to read this to you. I know you can read it for yourself, but I'm basically just kind of going to hit the high points. So don't think I'm going to read this. So I don't like those kind of presentations myself. So the arc flash study is a study that is done for the benefit of an employee that would be exposed to a incidental energy that would come from any type of electrical box inside your customer's facility. So, meaning if there's a breaker and he is working on it with the door open, the arc flash study would supply you a label that would give you the information that you would need in order to wear the appropriate arc flash gear, and then knowing how far away the blast zone would be. So the reason for having an arc flash study done is what this video is going to show right here. This video, some of you may have seen it, some of you may not, but what's happening is the guy is actually racking up a breaker inside this cubicle. And if you listen real hard, there is a little click, and then just a few seconds after that is when the explosion happens. And I believe when this video is going off, that click is really an indication that something is not right. And I think that's why this happens. So I'm going to play this video for you here, and then we'll move on. There was the click. So unfortunately, I'm sure that gentleman didn't make it. So if there's one word that goes along with arc flash and why it is important in a couple of different thoughts, that word would be exposure. And exposure comes at us from a couple of different ways. The liability for bodily harm, obviously somebody getting hurt, killed, unfortunately, which that does happen. And then just the overall liability that a company takes on by letting their employees expose themselves to an electrical potential of energy that they do not have information on how to protect themselves. IEEE standards tell us that arc flash studies need to be redone every 5 years. Some of our companies, such as Enterprise, actually goes a little farther with that, and they actually redo theirs every 3 years, because once you do an arc flash study, the potential for change is always there, and it usually does happen. So you have to reevaluate those things as those changes come about. This is just a couple of areas of concern. The pole on the left there is obviously just some cutouts with a crossover of many different voltages going different ways. But the picture on the right is a breaker cubicle with the main, and then several subs there off to the right and below the main. So all of those will have an energy level label on them telling you what kind of protection you need as in order to be able to open those doors and work on them. There's 3 phases of a Arc Flash study. The first one is data collection, and what we do on data collection, we have a data collection box set up with a computer that uses the SKM software package. There's several different softwares out there that can be used for building up one lines for an engineer to evaluate with. We started with one that just didn't work out real well, and then we quickly moved over to SKM because SKM is by far the leader of this type of software for creating Arc Flash studies. So just a couple of years ago, I was sent out to SKM on the West Coast and did a class with them. So I am trained with the SKM software. So just that's something to keep in mind. We partner up with the company Alpha Engineering out on the west side of Indianapolis in order to perform the evaluation phase, which is the second phase of an Arc Flash study. This requires engineering capabilities, and obviously at Horner we don't have engineering, so we partner with Alpha, and then we do actually have another company that we've started using along with Alpha too over in Illinois. I met them up at the Tate and Lyle people a couple of years back, so we do have a backup in case Alpha gets backed up on us, which that has happened a couple of times. The final or the third phase of an Arc Flash study is the deliverables, which include the evaluations, the recommendations, one lines, the labels, and depending on what the customer wants to do, we can either come back and we can apply the labels for them, or we can just hand the labels off to them and they can take care of putting their labels on as well. And it can be either way. We've done it both ways since we started with this. One of the major benefits of doing an Arc Flash study, and I know this is a little difficult to see on your screens, it does give the customer a one-line diagram of where all power components are going to. In this case, this is the first and the initial one line from Novellus over in Terre Haute, where they have 138,000 coming in, and then it's distributed down to different levels of voltage past that point. So when we did Novellus, it was a major project. We had to basically build it up from the ground up. Although we did have some original SKM files that we were able to work with, but the former file that was over 12 years old wasn't much help. So the customer wanted it updated and then actually filled out to a better ability than what it had been, meaning there was a lot of things that were missing inside it. So this is a big benefit for customers getting a one line. So if there's ever any questions about, where something goes, all you have to do is get these prints out and take a look with, have your customer take a look and where they go. And I might add that all of the files that are created and then mostly by SKM is a proprietary file. Okay, it's called a PRJ file. All of those files, we do not keep them. Some of the people in business for Arc Flash studies actually keep them to try to hold that customer in their own grips as far as having them renew. We will share that information with the customer, so because they paid for it, we feel like it's something that they should own on their own. So, but anyway, one line's big benefit with the customer. That's actually something that it would be a big plus when you talk to customers. Like I said earlier, I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks, but if you have any questions or anything, please let me know, or if you have any opportunities, let me know. And I appreciate the time. And again, thank you, Jacqueline, for helping out. I do appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good rest of the day, and I will see you soon.